I made a video game, kind of. Let's talk game design, but first, I make games in GDevelop. Yes, I'm going to make a video about why I moved from Construct 3, I promise. They recently released a fully featured 3D viewport system in the editor itself, so you can scroll around your 3D scene in real time, place stuff vertically, see your effects and lighting playing out, all of that. It's great and you should try it. To celebrate that, they put on a kind of mini game jam where you didn't even have to really make a game, just something to show off and play with the new 3D features. Something small, minimal, simple. So obviously I thought, great, let's remake the entirety of one of the most important video games ever made in full-blown 3D. Because of course I did. Thankfully, I very quickly caught myself being an idiot and changed my trajectory to just develop a small section of the original Zelda's overworld map. No enemies or combat, just the map itself for you to wander around in and experience. The Legend of Zelda starts in an empty square with nothing but a cave and multiple paths forward, opening up a world for your exploration, adventure and discovery. I don't have the cave because the cave has a sword in it and I wasn't about to get dumb enough to try and do combat at the same time. But it does have an open emptiness and shrouded pathways for your progression. But because we're in 3D, I can take the green rock walls that surround you and elevate them vertically, so that you get this sense of an imposing pressure hanging over your head. People don't really get this about the first Zelda game, but there's a lot of quiet hostility in the barren emptiness of the world. The only people left living in it are hiding in caves, so that oppressive loneliness is baked into your journey before you even start. Over to the left is a series of rocks, more impenetrable walls, and a river coming down from the mountains that you can traverse with a small bridge. Because I'm not an idiot and I wasn't expanding that far, I did keep the bridge, except now it's broken and impassable. You can however see across the river to what might be on the other side, because one of the perks of 3D development is that you can leave the unattainable with a sense of wonder and expectation for what might lie beyond. Also, fog. You'll come to realise very quickly that I really like fog, because I've lived my entire life in Britain and that's basically Silent Hill. In the original game you can follow that shoreline up and to the east, past a point where the lush green forest gives way to a darker brown setting, and the vibrancy of the nature of the land has started to give way to death and decay, because like I said, it's an oppressive, lonely, open world that gently hints at the punished barren land. But we'll come back to that, because for now we need to go back to the start and look at our other options. If you go to the right from the first scene, you end up in a forest, a high concentration of trees that, while it gives you space to pass, also fills you with the saturated greenery that evokes what was likely once a warm and inviting natural space full of safety. You know, like this forest that you were safe in a Zelda game. If you carry on through that forest in the original game, you end up at another shoreline with a harsh brown cliffside. But we're not going that far today, so instead I thought I'd cut it off and do something that called back to our most iconic Zelda forest space. And so we have this. This little jam was meant as an opportunity to play with some 3D features. So if you jump, yes jump, I know it's Zelda, shut up some steps, as the light gives way to a rich canopy of leaves that doesn't exist, we can play with the lighting and give way to warm, inviting illumination from another Zelda icon, the fairies. This is an area that I would probably call the Fairy Grove, full of trees and glistening little fairy folk that you can safely wander, and although it's dark, you can enjoy the coziness. In Ocarina of Time, every Kokiri child in the Kokiri forest has their own fairy. Where you are now is a small forest full of fairies, without the Kokiri. Am I tying this cute little 3D experiment that I made in 48 hours into the extended split timeline of a near 40-year-old series? Maybe. Back to the start, there is a path directly north which leads into the path that we took earlier, coming out at the shoreline of a huge lake and getting us back to the brown desolation of the world's forestry. In the original game, this will lead to a long bridge out to the middle of the lake, and you'd better believe we're going to put that in. That bridge leads us to level 1, which happens to be set within a tree. Sound familiar? Anyway, in 3D we can play with the lighting again, and yes, even more fog, so that we can make your approach to the first dungeon even more ominous and imposing than the rest of the world has been so far. Something with an even greater, increasing sense of pressure and loneliness, evoking the danger that you're about to walk into for your first real challenge. There is, sadly, not a level there. Like I said, I'm not an idiot and this was a quick weekend thing. The last thing I had the space to include is north of the first level. In the original game, if you head up that way, you are literally heading up that way. You see, because the first game is in 2D, a lot of people don't get this, but the overworld of the original Zelda has a vertical height to its layout. At the bottom you have a shore at a cliff edge, going down to an open expanse of the sea. Literally at the physical top of the map you have Death Mountain, an actual mountain that you actually have to climb. There are rocks that fall, waterfalls cascading down, and a visible sheer top point that has no end because it's a peak. So playing around in 3D, the last point I made is where you can stand at the shore looking up, vertically. That imposing uncertainty comes back because you can stare up at the mountain ahead of you, which in true Todd Howard style, I would tell you, hey, see that mountain? You can climb it. Except right now you can't because I didn't finish it, which is also very Todd Howard. So that's all of the game I remade to wander around in, and I know it's leaving you with a single question. No, releasing a playable Zelda thing is like inviting Nintendo to come kick your door down and wipe your Christmas dinner from the table with a DMCA baseball bat. So instead, because I'm old, I made this, The Legend of Zelda. You see what I did there? This is exactly the same layout, same little graphical effects, everything we've just talked about, except it's entirely original. It looks like Zelda, but due to international copyright laws, it's not. You might see those blurred, stretched textures over the models and think, hey, this looks like the Nintendo 64. And you'd be right. This was accidental entirely on purpose because I'm brilliant, and also handsome because my wife said so. If you'd like to play around with this version, I will drop a link in the description. Otherwise, like this video if you liked the video that you liked, and subscribe for more videos like the video that you liked, and I'll see you the next time I'm thinking, hey, let's talk game design.